Mike Pompeo this week decided to open his pie hole, and he was reminded what's the cadet motto at West Point. You will not lie, cheat or steal and tolerate those who do. He said, I was the CIA director. We lied, we cheated, we stole. It was like we had entire training courses in it. And, quote, it reminds you of the glory of the American experiment, unquote. Mr. Pompeo. Yes, Mr. Pompeo, a tragic experiment played out on the American people primarily, and many other peoples around the world, with their fake wars, resources stealing, election meddling and assassination squads. An experiment indeed. Next piece, a sign of the times. Some always look for, but at times can't always see. We have been warning in this show that the clowns' funds and numbers are starting to dwindle, and maybe this piece gives a pointer to that. Bearing in mind it has escalated a lot this year as well. For only the second year in a decade, both the numbers of billionaires and their total wealth shrank, which now proves that even the wealthiest are not immune to economic forces and weak stock markets. Now, the latest count, there are 2,153 billionaires, which is 55 fewer than a year ago. I would imagine they've lost 55 within this first quarter of this year, or more. Of those, a record 994, or 46%, are poorer, relatively speaking, than they were last year, and in total the ultra rich are worth 8.7 trillion, which is down 400 billion last year, and altogether 11% of last year's list members, or 247 people, dropped out of the top ranks, which is the most since 2009 at the height of the global financial crisis. Asia Pacific was the hardest hit, with 60 fewer this year, and that dip was led by China, which has 49 fewer billionaires than a year ago. Europe, the Middle East and Africa also lost ground. Now the Americas, because of laundering and because of targeting Venezuela and also Brazil, not to mention a few other countries in that region, Brazil and the US are the only two regions that have more billionaires than a year ago. There is now a record 607 in the US alone, and that includes 14 of the 20th world's top richest people. Bezos is number one again, followed by vaccine let's kill children man Bill Gates. But it is plummeting. That's why Rothschilds are doing fire sales. Remember, it's about February and March last year they sold off all the stocks. Then they sold off 2 mansions, and then they sold off a load of paintings at Sotheby's, and this week they're selling off a whole heap more. That should tell you they're feeling the heat. Not compared to us, but it's all perspective, and eventually they're going to end up with nothing.